Turn the mic off. This is legacy emotion. From vision of victory, trailblazing the path. Mind sharp, words heavy, every bar got class. Iconic by nature, pioneer by design. History in the making every time she aligns. Doctorate dreams, but the roots run deep. Built from the grind, now the whole world speaks. Culture, purpose, power when she steps in the room. Drop gems so real, make the future zoom. Yeah.
This is iconic pioneers. Hear the story unfold, where the fearless lead and the truth gets told. Every voice legendary, every lesson precise. Often with wisdom, Dr. Tabitha Russell on the mic. Press play. Stay ready. The movement starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Iconic Pioneers podcast, the space where disruptors, trailblazers, and bold thinkers gather to rewrite the rules of success. I'm your host, Dr. Tabitha Russell, and on this show, we go deep with those who aren't afraid to lead differently, who are building legacy, impact, and authority that echoes for generation. I have the amazing ability to interview Miss Cari Bordley on today. She is a kingdom consultant and strategist. Can I just say super amazing? Welcome in, Cari. It's so great to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. If you will, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience. Tell them who you are, what you do, and how you're bringing your genius to the world.
Thank you. I am Cari Bordley, and I am a kingdom consultant and strategist. And I believe and help high capacity women to go from burnout and become brilliantly unstoppable through my RISE method, where they reignite and discover their identity and their purpose. I help them internalize their power through mindset. I help them strategize their vision, and I help them execute with mastery.
Oh, I love that. That is so awesome. Did y'all hear that? That she helps you do so with mastery. Okay. All right. So Cari, share with us, what does being an iconic leader mean to you personally?
To me, that means standing out and being different. And as the visionary behind the Brilliantly Unstoppable movement, I believe we truly can be brilliantly unstoppable. And what does that mean? I believe that we have a unique light in each one of us that was meant to shine brilliantly. And I believe that we were given a mindset by our creator, and we learn things on how to operate in that mindset that make us unstoppable.
I love it. Can I just say brilliantly unstoppable? Like unstoppable has always been my word, right? However, adding in that brilliantly, because yes, we do have wisdom, right? Yeah. And we have put a lot into making sure that our brilliance stand out brightly. So I absolutely love that concept. I love what it is that you do and how you're helping others. So tell us about a defining moment where you realized that you weren't built to follow the crowd.
Yeah. I would have to say that was after my awakening. I had an encounter with God that changed my life. And that encounter helped me understand his ways. And it totally shifted everything. Because in this world, we believe in hustle culture. We believe in just going. And, you have to earn everything you get in the wrong ways, like work, and strive. And, what he showed me is actually it's by trusting him, by learning the way that he meant for us and created us to operate and function. And so that is what that means to me, to stand for that we don't have to conform to the culture and the world around us, that we can stand out, we can be different. And that actually gives people hope.
I love it when you talk about you don't have to conform to everything that's going on around you. Like I to believe that we a lot of times are impacted by our environments. However, allowing yourself to say, okay, I can be of the environment, but I don't have to be in the environment, right? Like I can set myself apart in such a way that I don't have to follow the crowd. So every leader I know, though, faces some sort of resistance. So what's one obstacle that almost broke you, like it was trying to come for you, and how did you overcome it?
For me, this was realizing that every bit of effort that I had put into building, I had built 2 businesses. They were successful, they were great. And then I became a mom, and adding that element into it that was so important. I mean, we get this opportunity to literally cultivate and raise a whole life. Like, and I had multiple. So I think that that was in a good way, my breaking moment, and people might go, what, a good way? Like, how is that good? Well, because you need to find the end of yourself. I always say the most dangerous person in the room is the one that doesn't know their weaknesses, thinks they can do everything, right?
Yes.
So for me, that was like, I couldn't make everything work in the sense that I was in a struggling marriage at the time to my business partner on one of those businesses. So that got kind of complicated, complex, and real small spaced, real fast. And so God did what God only can do. And he totally transformed everything by one moment when he asked me, can we start with you?
Oh, I love it. And sometimes we just have to face the elephant in the room, right? Like what's working, what's not working, and what role you play in all of it. So the only person at the end of the day that you can control is you, right? We can impact and influence others, but the real deal starts with you and being able to move forward. So how do you balance building wealth, influence, and impact without sacrificing your authenticity, like staying true to Cari? How do you do that?
Well, I guess because of the fact that he helped teach me who I really am. Again, not the copycat that's like this person over here and this person over there that we watch happen, unfortunately, all too often, especially with leaders. They hide behind things. And so for me, balancing those things together is always staying true to who I was made to be, what I was made to do. And the more that gets honed and aligned, you can't help but operate from that place. And so, like when we're talking about defining moments and iconic, well, you have to stand in that no matter what anybody else around you does. So balancing all that together always brings authenticity. And as you become more sure of that, because that's the part that's hard for people, it's like, oh, I feel different, that's okay. You were meant to stand out. And that's okay too. And if you feel like you need to hide, I can help you with that too. so again, it's just like I walked it out. That's why I'm authentic. I don't give away anything I haven't walked through.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
I love it. I love it. And knowing that you have a proven process allows you, I don't know about you, but for me, I sleep good at night, right? Knowing that the methods that I'm sharing, that I'm teaching, that it works. But then more importantly, throughout all of it, I know that there's value in just being yourself and allowing yourself to be through the process. There's going to be some challenging times and some challenging days, but that's okay. That comes along with it. That's how you get to implement that balance. So, what's a myth about leadership? And I really want you to spend some time here because you're in the space of where you help leaders on a regular basis. So, what's a myth about leadership or success that you believe needs to be dismantled immediately?
I would pick leadership on that. And wow, the thing that I think needs to be dismantled immediately is that there's this expectation on leaders, both within themselves and without, like the people that are under them, that almost hold them to a superhuman value. Like they don't think they're human. They don't think they're allowed to have moments and flaws, and that they're not still in a process, that they don't know everything, and that's okay. And I think it is this fallacy that unfortunately a lot of leaders feel like they have to hold up, and it creates so much dysfunction. It creates it within the leader, it creates it within the team, and it definitely creates a atmosphere and culture of dysfunction within an organization where everybody shows up with masks instead of authenticity, like we've been talking about. You can't shine your light through a mask.
At all. You cannot. That was really good. And I know that in today's culture, in today's society, we find that people are okay with sometimes hiding behind those masks, right? Like it takes a period of time for them to really show their true selves and to really show up in that place of authenticity. But I know, like for you, for example, that success leaves clues. So, what are some of your daily habits or rituals that keep you operating at that iconic level?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, of course, first and foremost, I've got to hear my Lord. And so every day, multiple times a day, by the way, I don't think it's just one time a day. You're supposed to be hearing his voice all the time. And that helps you to know as a leader, you're not alone, you know? And when you start with him, again, alignment, you're going to hear me say that a lot. When he aligns your day right at the beginning, that helps your day go better. When you know that when you run into something, you have a helper along the way, that also helps you. So that's one of my main things. And of course, I do things like planning and time blocking and these important things that include time for me to play, to have fun, to have some downtime. Because without play, there's actually a whole book on this. It's amazing. But without play, we don't have meaning. And so a lot of us, kids don't have to be told to play. Matter of fact, they have to be told to not play, right? Well, then we get older and then all of a sudden we forget how to play and have fun. And yet it's actually so important to learning and growing. So those are some of the things I nourish myself, in that way that I let myself have. Yes, I do have my spa days and girl days, but I also have time for play and fun. And we just can't leave that out.
Oh yeah, definitely. I do agree with you. Like my day starts a lot of times early. Like I definitely love and believe that you should set the tone of your day, right? Your meditation, reading your word, spending some time just really thinking about the flow of the day, as well as that self-care time. Man, that is everything. A lot of times I notice that we as leaders, sometimes we try to pour from empty cups, right? How is that functional, right? Like, how is that okay? That is not okay. Okay.
That
First
is
of all,
literally what I tell people not to do. Like
yeah,
that is a recipe for burnout.
yes,
And I'm teaching them to go from burnout to brilliance, right?
that's right. That's
We can't
right.
pour from an
So,
empty
first
cup.
and foremost, fill you up so that way you can give out of your surplus and you're always on full, right? Because every day is not going to be your best day, but it allows you to be able to absorb that in not so much of an impactful way to where you want to quit and give up, but it allows you to be able to take that and then continue to keep going because you're full, right? So I know that for both of us, we're building legacy. And I know that legacy is more than wealth. So, what legacy are you intentionally creating for generations to come?
Well, there's a number of things actually. So, number one, obviously, this movement, Brilliantly Unstoppable, which will be an upcoming podcast as well. And I'm writing my book. So, between those two things, the podcast takes me, right? But
Mhm.
my hope and my vision is actually to multiply it so that I can help point out those that I get to work with, like such an honor, right? And that they can be on that podcast and people can see their light shining too. And so as it continues to ripple effect in the earth in all these ways, that's just a couple. I'm also going to be doing executive retreats and everything else. And right now I'm focusing on doing strategy days with high capacity women in leadership. So these are just a few of the ways that I hope to make a deep and wide impact in the earth.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And having multiple things going on allows you to really tap into your purpose and explore the opportunities of helping others and really serving them to the fullest. So I love, love, love that as well. So we talk about leadership, luxury, and legacy here. How do you personally define luxury as a leader?
Right. I think that when I hear that question, what I think about is this ability to steward time and energy with excellence. We have to make decisions all the time, every day, and they range all over the place from personal to leadership. And the truth is that if we don't have space to pause and to reflect, if we don't have that knowing that we have the secret sauce of Holy Spirit with us all the time, that luxury of space, time, like holding space for yourself, for others, all of that is considered luxury if you think about it in the world. Yet it's just how we function when we get it down to a rhythm and a science. So I would say that luxury to me is learning how to master the stewardship of your time and your energy.
That's really good. There's a law that I practice, and one of the things is that you've got to know what your rhythm is for being an executive, right? And that may mean that in the morning is when you're at your highest potential, meaning that you're going to, do all of your work, and then as the day goes down towards the end of the day, you're not as so much on your peak, but you are still, optimally functional. And you're still working. So maybe the beginning of the day, you're making those big decisions, right? And I believe that as a CEO, a founder, a leader, that you should only really try to make um, 2 to 3 big decisions per day. Outside of that, it can become a little bit more heavier and a little bit more taxing. That's not to say that you're still not moving the pieces strategically like chess, right? But it also means that you may take the time to work through what the rest of your day looks like, but um, you can still be where you can be so effective that you get a lot of stuff done. And so I like how you talked about the time management and the time blocking and how that's just really so important. And I don't think that a lot of leaders really understand the effectiveness of doing that as well. Would you agree?
Totally agree. And, when we think about that, it's like people don't think that they need to make time for, like, they just don't take authority over it, I guess is maybe a way to say it, and they put themselves last. I work with a lot of givers, right? They're leaders that love to lead. They love their people. They love their organizations, and they forget about them. I always tell them, if you don't put your oxygen mask on you, you have nothing to give to anybody else.
Hmm.
So it is valuable and it's important. So yeah, starting that day, making sure that we have a plan for the day. It doesn't even, and there's people that have mindsets about plans. I'm like, that can look different. Seriously, it can be totally different no matter what you're doing. And so that is part of just the essential part, and staying connected to your vision. I think so many people, we get lost in the minutia of the day. That's where those rhythms come in. Because if you can feel you're off, right? You're off your rhythm. It is helpful, because then you're like, wait, okay, I need to pause. I need to take a break. Like, it's okay, not only kids need timeouts, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and then the other thing that I'd like to add to that is to give us grace in transitions. Whether you're building a legacy business, whether you're going through something in your personal life, whether you have a team shift, right? That there's some new people or you're losing some people, whatever it is, there's got to be grace in that transition, because the rhythms are going to get thrown off. And so don't worry, you got a song, you'll find your rhythm, but just make sure you're finding your cadence and I think that's like one of the keys for leaders. You have to find your cadence, your rhythm. And as you move forward in that, it brings peace to your team so they can find theirs. And then all of a sudden everybody's dancing. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I love the dance because
I
the
do
dance
too.
it all flows well and it all works out. So I absolutely love that. So what's one of the boldest risks that you've ever taken in your career and how did it reshape your trajectory?
I would say that's a good one. One of the boldest risks in my career is to stop compartmentalizing my faith. You know, we in America live in a country where we are free to do and say and be who we feel called to be. And I am thankful for that. And so many leaders try to compartmentalize their faith, they compartmentalize their personal life, they compartmentalize everything. And it causes massive issue within the leader. It is one of the biggest pieces to why we feel burnt out. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to be different with different people just so you can function. So I believe in functioning from authenticity, your true core identity. And when you know your calling and purpose, when you understand how it plays into the big picture, it just lights you up inside. So it's just vital to do that. It is essential to do that. And speaking about my faith was one of the things that I was told I'm not allowed to do. Last time I checked the Constitution, that's not a true statement. Thing. And I will tell you, it doesn't, you can do it in a way that's not offensive, and, religious, where it's shoving it down people's throats. There's a way that when this is who you are and you know whose you are, and he's part of your everyday, it comes out in all kinds of ways, especially kindness and thoughtfulness and that servant heart leadership that sets you apart from everybody else in this world.
Yes, I love that. I can remember being a corporate leader, and we somehow got on a conversation because I would mentor several others that were wanting to get into leadership. And we got on the topic of authenticity, being yourself, and really upholding good character, integrity, different things like that. And one of the ladies asked me, do you go to church? Where do you go to church? That kind of stuff. She said, I could hear it in your voice. She said, you've never talked about it, but I could always tell that you were different. There was another leader there in the corporation. And for whatever reason, people are sometimes, I will say sometimes, can be super judgmental.
Yes.
So they would call her Sunday morning. And I'm like, "Ooh, that's pretty interesting." And so I would ask the question as to why. And one person finally said, is because she walks around here holier than thou.
Wow.
And she wears, the suits, the stockings, the dress shoes, all the things the whole time. And she's always saying, God this, God that. However, she's not the most ethical. And if that's what God looks like, I don't want no parts of that. So I know that, first of all, being the person that God called us to be, being real with our faith and being unapologetic about that is super amazing. However, people start to measure that. And I say that living a life for the Lord is a lifestyle. Yes. And the only Bible that some people will ever read is you, right?
Amen. Yes, absolutely. That is exactly. We're supposed to be modeling things. I love that you said that because, unfortunately, that hypocrisy is one of the signs that you're not being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely.
Where it sounds like they could connect with you. They're like, she's authentic. I can feel, usually they can feel the love.
Yeah.
That's what they feel, the love and the kindness. And they're like, you're different. And the peace. And when we're functioning out of who we're supposed to be, and it's really who we are. And those are two different things, by the way. They're supposed to be, right? And then who you actually are. And when they're, again, that word authentic that we keep bringing up, it helps your light to shine to go back to the brilliantly unstoppable thing. It really does. And the brilliance aspect, I'm a girl and I love diamonds and sparkly things. And so, brilliance is determined by the cuts, right? The way you've been shaped, the way you've been maybe pruned, the way that you're meant to sparkle. And so I think that is part of that cultivation, for each one of us. And it is through some of the hard times. And, and to be kind, that woman probably had some hard times and she didn't know. And she was functioning out of what she thought was best. But look at the message it was sending. Yeah, there's always going to be people that judge you, but we're not supposed to be concerned about that. I actually just did a post about that, about John 8. And Jesus was like, just because you say that doesn't mean what I say isn't true. And I was like, come on, Jesus, and it just hit me different that day because of this exact point. People will judge you, but I have learned that goodness triumphs. And so when they can feel that you care, that you really genuinely care about them and that you really have something to help them with, and conversely, that they can come to you, that you're approachable. And because you aren't that holier than thou, right? You don't put on the mask. You're like, hey, I'm having one of those days. You're real. And I think that people just, at least I found that they just really are hungry and thirsty for those kind of leaders.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I remember a long time ago, I was discussing with my ex-husband about leadership styles. And I was expressing how Jesus' leadership style was amazing, and he goes, it's so funny. I was just reading a white paper about that. And the leadership style that you're discussing here is the hardest one to be most effective. And I thought, I wonder why. Again, it goes back to authentic. You got to be who you really are. You got to know what you're called to do. And you got to show up every day doing it, and we need help to do that and give ourselves space and grace when we can't.
That's right. That's right. I believe that we don't have to wear the bloodstained banner, but we are the bloodstained banner, right? Where we get to exemplify it every single day. And we get to show up in such a way that, like you said, people feel the love, right? That they understand that this is the way that you can go. However, just being true to people, being a good servant, as well as leading by example, right? I can't expect you to do something that I yet won't do myself. So I was that open door policy leader, right? Majority of the time I left my door open. I was the one that would go out on the floor and I would talk with the individuals and do things that would help them there as well, to see that, hey, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this, right? Like, we're going to do this together and I'm going to lock arms with you. So for those that are listening who feel called to lead, but question their power, what's your message to them?
Hang in there, man. You can do this. Believe it or not, that you have a light inside of you that is the answer to all things, including what you're facing right now. And as we basically help you find that light again, that you will shine and that you will be able to overcome things. There are things that we learned on the road that we were never supposed to learn. And so we just need to get over those things. Now, how do we do that? We have to face them. And so it sounds complex, but truly it's simple. And it's something that happens every day. Your life is the curriculum and you were made to overcome all things and shine your light.
Ooh, I love that. You are made to overcome all things. Y'all heard it here. You heard it directly from Ms. Cari Bordley. Thank you so much, Cari, for just an amazing interview on today and you sharing how it is that you're bringing kingdom strategies to the marketplace, right? Like how you're helping these businesses to really transform and to run in such a way that everybody wants to be on board. So how can everyone connect with you?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned strategy because we didn't talk about that a lot. Because that is some fun stuff. I love solving problems and working things out and providing solutions and strategies, how we do that. So that's great. But how they can find me is through my website. It's www.caribordley.com. And you see the spelling of my name on the screen. And they can find my upcoming webinar for the Brilliant Reset, from Burnout to Brilliance. And they can find all the other things they need, whether it's testimonies, upcoming events, or what have you.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. And I know that we'll have to have you back on the show because you started talking a little bit about that strategy, as well as you got a podcast, you got a book coming up, all the great and amazing things. So thank you so much for being here with us, and we'll have you back to hear some more about how things are going. And thank you all for tuning in to the Iconic Pioneers podcast, where we don't just build brands, we build blueprints for generations. Remember, icons aren't born, they're built by those bold enough to lead unapologetically. Until next time, keep leading, keep building, and keep breaking every limitation possible. And thank you again, Cari.
You're welcome. So good to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is Iconic Pioneers. Hear the story unfold, where the fearless lead and the truth gets told. Every voice legendary, every lesson precise. Often with wisdom, Dr. Tabitha Russell on the mic.
Stay ready. The movement starts now.